deserves. Well, it pounce. Much better. The most devastating move in professional wrestling. The pounce. The end. Finis. No more.
What's up, everybody out there? Come on in, sit down, grab yourself a cold beverage, take your pants off. I don't care what you do. It's a brand new episode of TNA Impact, and I am your host, Brent Biles. Of course, my buddy Dan Griffin, my co-host, will be joining me here very shortly as we get into. We watched a one of the weekly pay-per-views. I'm going to be honest with you, I can't think of off the top of my head what the date on that was. I can tell you the main event is Jeff Hardy battling the alpha male Monty Brown for the number one contendership. And then we went on to review the next two impacts after that. So a little bit of a different thing than what we've been doing. We haven't really reviewed any of the weekly pay-per-views. This will be the first one. And so let's get right into it. Let's throw it over to me and my pal Dan Griffin talking some TNA Impact.
Sorting out wires that are hanging where they shouldn't be.
Wires are always hanging where they shouldn't be when it comes to podcasts, and ain't that the truth?
Yeah, and in sorting them out, I just unplugged you completely, and your voice came out of my laptop, and I just pooed myself a little, so we're off to a good start.
I am kind of loud, so I guess that's a good. I guess I understand.
It was more just a sheer confusion as to why you weren't in my ears. That's.
I mean, if people don't know, now you know. It doesn't take much for Dan to shit himself a little.
No. If anybody who's ever listened to my podcast before knows that I am full of shit at all times.
Oh God, without a doubt. I mean, fuck, man. If we're talking about that, I'm full of shit too, all the time. So.
You got to be a podcaster, haven't you?
Especially a wrestling podcast, you have to be absolutely full of shit.
You've got to match the energy of what you're watching half the time.
Which quite frankly is usually shit, but that's the way. I like it. You know what I mean?
TNAwipod wouldn't exist without shit wrestling.
That's right. I mean, when I first started doing this podcast, we would just review Raw and SmackDown and NXT, and boy, that was fucking boring. I'll tell you what.
So you had to find fun in the bullshit.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? Why don't we? I think I don't even remember how it got to it, but we just started. I think we watched along one match, and we were like, "That's fun. We should just do that."
Yeah, why not? And then you got the mayor in there. He only likes stuff that's complete crap, and then you throw Glenn in who loves to have a laugh. So
yeah, and then Glenn introduced us to stuff that we didn't even know about, as far as like British stuff, like Cat Weasel and all that sort of nonsense. And who was the? Oh my God! So Sorry, live update. I'm watching Chelsea and Fulham, and Juan Pedro just scored in about 30 seconds. So,
that motherfucker. It's not gone well. Start of the season for my fantasy football team. So,
no,
I'm fucking terrible at this game, even after playing it for 18 years.
Well, it's only one week, Dan. You got many weeks to go. I'm sure it's gonna be okay.
Yeah, starters you mean to go on just below average.
Well, why you want to do it?
Just below average and just not shit enough to be last. That's my motto in life.
That's fair. I mean, if we want to talk about your local football club, I think they had a pretty goddamn good start to their League Two campaign for a team that just came up.
Yeah, York City won the first game against Bristol Rovers 3-2. Took a 1-1 draw against Rotherham at the weekend. Rotherham were in the championship not so long ago, and Bristol Rovers are a team tipped to do well in the division. So, yeah, I'll take 4 points from 2 games, and then we play Exeter on Saturday. We're another very good side. So, if we come out of that with another 3 points, I'll be very happy. So, despite all the tumultuous stuff off the pitch, the boys are still delivering on it. So, I'm happy with that.
I was able to watch their first one, but I didn't get to see the one this week. Wasn't on TV here, so hopefully this Saturday it will be. But on to other things, Dan. Do you want to talk about some TNA wrestling?
Oh boy, do I! It's our first pay-per-view.
Yeah, so usually we do the impacts. We usually review 4 a show, but this week did something a little different, and we took a look at the 101st. I'm sorry, 105th, not first. 105th TNA weekly pay-per-view. On the whole, so like preparation H. On the whole, Did you feel good, or how did you feel about the show?
It was like a calming balm to the ring piece. No, I enjoyed this. I mean, just the first overall, everything just felt bigger and better and more different, as you'd hope it did on a for a pay-per-view. It's a bigger venue, bit more going on, bigger crowd. So yeah, they nailed the feel of it, and just everything in the ring was pretty good. I think one thing I really enjoyed was the sort of more innovative camera angles that the extra space afforded them. There was a few bits where just the moves were made to look even cooler just by having a slightly different camera angle than you're used to seeing. It's something that WWE started doing when they were experimenting with the drones when Raw got to Netflix, that they've since abandoned. But yeah, overall, everything was really good. One thing will become apparent as we go on. I am so fucking sick of hearing ring bells. And it's a hallmark of wrestling TV, sort of from the late 90s, early 2000s. Every time there's a big brawl going on, which happens quite often on any Russo-produced television of the era.
Every week.
There will be a fucking ring bell going off somewhere. And it started on this show, and it felt like it never stopped because we also did the next two Impacts as well to finally get out of July 2004 and into August.
Yeah, it's not really something they do anymore, but it is something they always did when I watched wrestling growing up. Is if something was getting out of hand, they would just continually, clang the bell, which I always thought was weird because it's like, do you think by the time you ranked it the 400th time that they're going to go, like, you know what, you're right, I'm doing the wrong thing here, I should leave?
It's just like Festus is on a delay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the 401st ding that got him, not the 400th. It was stupid. But one thing I loved about this show is that it actually did embrace a bit of the silliness. Like the whole Alex Shelley and Abyss versus D-Ray 3000 and Shark Boy. Where where the face team don't understand that their contracts are going to go to Goldilocks if they lose. That's fast becoming one of my favorite stories.
In fairness, D-Ray Davis, I don't think just by the look of him, I don't think he usually knows what's going on ever. So
yeah, and neither did Abyss when he picked the comb out of D-Ray's hair. That was a lot of fun.
That was my favorite part of the whole pay-per-view, honestly. No, I'm just kidding, but it was great.
Yeah, no, I can't wait for Abyss to finally snap and go after Alex Shelley and break away on his own, because I know they're going to drag this out a little longer, but Abyss already feels primed for a big step up on TNA, even at this point in 2004.
Yeah, it seems like this can be a way to maybe sort of make him babyface, which, I mean, when you first look at him, you don't think that that's possible, but this is definitely a way, because you could see it keeps wearing on him that Goldilocks keeps picking Abyss, it keeps picking, Alex Shelley, aka Freddie Prinze Jr., as I like to call him, and neglecting Abyss. So it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. So that was fun. I mean, a lot of this stuff, to me, just kind of came off as okay. I was fairly disappointed with what I saw between the Naturals and what is it, Triple X? I think is what they call themselves. Christopher Daniel and Alex Skipper. I don't know. Maybe I had better expectations going into it, and I kind of put it more on the Naturals as to why I didn't like this match so much more than I would Daniels and Skipper, just because they had control of much of the match. And I had a hard time keeping my interest or keeping me locked into the match when I watched it. So that match for me was a bit of a disappointment. I really loved the main event match. I'm sure you did too. This was actually the first time I ever watched an Ultimate X match. I never watched an Ultimate X match.
Oh, man.
So
there are some banger Ultimate X matches out there. I say that and immediately forget every single one that ever existed. But particularly the more modern ones, you have more people in there, so it becomes even crazier. There's an infamous one where AJ is hanging from the middle from the middle of the X, and somebody drop kicks him or something, and he like inverts to try and then lands on his back, but he just barely makes it.
I think I've seen that clip. Yeah,
he's spoken about it a lot on podcasts and like how he was just terrified. He thought he was going to paralyze himself on the way down. But yeah, the Ultimate X main event was fantastic. Styles, Kazarian, and Michael Shane all did an incredible job. I mean, Michael Shane's a fine wrestler, but this was probably the best I think we've seen of him, with him and Kaz sort of pulling off this dynamic, and so rare to see that the two heels neither turned on the other.
Yeah,
I really like that.
I liked it too, and I definitely thought, because you at some point you think eventually they're going to have to start fighting each other, and they never did, which I thought was interesting. We got a lot of other interference. Tracy Brooks got involved a couple of times. I think AJ Pele kicked her, didn't he? He
did, yep. AJ Styles kicked a woman in the face, yep.
He did, yeah. And then Kid Cash returned, hit AJ with a crutch.
Yeah.
He had been suspended, but I don't know why. I don't remember why they suspended him, but he had been suspended for some reason.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think it was just to get him off TV because he was injured.
Probably.
But yeah, that main event was awesome. It was always going to be. Jeff Hardy, Monty Brown felt like a big deal.
Yeah, definitely.
Wasn't the best match on the card, but it was still good. Hardy having somebody finally sort of step up and match Monty Brown in a lot of ways was nice to see, and they protected him with the finish because you can't have Monty Brown lose. So in that case, a bit of a schmoz finish of Jeff Jarrett interfering made sense. So I was happy about that. What did you make of David Young versus Mike Posey, the referee?
For me, as we've talked about, as a person who enjoys the funny in wrestling, I enjoyed it. I mean, I thought it was very entertaining. If you would have told me going into this match that I would have liked the Mike Posey David Young match better than I liked the Triple X versus the Naturals match, I would have told you I was crazy. But that would be the case because it was just a fun little match between a referee and a guy who's been on a losing streak. And for me, that's always going to be over the top and fun for me. So I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I was saying it's embracing the fun, and the crowd was so hot for that one. It just shows that you don't need all the talent in the world. You don't need to do a million moves, but it's that intangible thing that gets people invested, of David Young just being that much of a prick that they're happy to see him lose to a referee. It's great comedy, and it was a nice palate cleanser.
Yeah, it was even good, even though Glenn Gilberti was involved.
Talking of tag team
still
matches,
liked it even though he was in that.
Yeah, but he looked a dickhead, so
that's true.
Is what it is. Yeah. Speaking of tag matches, the tag title, not the tag title match, the Naturals Triple X wasn't great, but Team Canada versus AMW was pretty damn good to open the show.
Yeah, I mean, a much better tag team match than. I mean, Team Canada's a fucking staple of everything that we watch. I mean, they're always on every show. They're on this first pay-per-view we watch, but they're all over this thing. And it feels, I don't know, they don't feel like they're like in the main event scene, but they feel like they should be in the main event scene. And I'm sure they will be in the main event scene looking at the talent that's in that group. But every time you see Team Canada, it's always entertaining. I think Scott D'Amore is great. I think we put him over a lot. So, yeah, another good match. And you can never go wrong with AMW because I've been more and more impressed with them the more we go along. Because I think we talked about this before too, is when you think about James Storm, you think about beer money. And maybe America's Most Wanted isn't the forefront of your mind when you think of him, but they were a very good tag team in their own right too. So yeah, definitely a very good match. Definitely, this one held my attention much better than the other tag team match we discussed.
Yeah, same. Absolutely. It was just, all four guys are just so good. And, we're going to get into the beer money era down the line, and that's going to be a lot of fun. Chris Harris came back to TNA, just made it was only a one-night return. I think it was the 1,000th episode a few years ago, and that was pretty cool. It just a shame it never really worked out after he tried to go to NXT.
Braden Walker, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't he on WWECW? Wasn't he on that? Was he on that show for a
Yeah,
little while?
for like 5 minutes, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
remember him
weirdly,
popping up.
I think James Storm, his one and only NXT match, may have been against a British wrestler.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because he did have that very, very small cup of coffee in the NXT. Old James Storm did. Maybe it was like Danny Burch.
Yeah, he had a thing with Danny Burch, but I'm
Yeah.
sure that there's a guy called Nathan Cruz, who's from a town about 30 miles from where I'm from. So he's from the same county.
I don't remember Nathan Cruz.
He only came in for one match into NXT.
Oh, that makes sense then.
But I'm stalling because I'm looking it up and wasting precious time.
No, you're.
Oh no, it wasn't. I was wrong. Never mind. That I completely fucked that up.
I can always edit it. No big deal.
I don't care.
No, I didn't mean either.
It was kind of a disappointment, but kind of not, because it was still pretty cool. I thought we were going to get some Ravens and versus Sabu.
You're funny. You took the words right out of my mouth because that was literally the next thing that I was going to talk about too. Is because I don't know why, but I thought the Raven Sabu match was on this show, and that's most of the reason why I wanted to watch it is because I wanted to watch the Raven Sabu match, just because obviously we come from an era where those are some guys that we used to really enjoy, and the build up to it, at least what they've shown us on TV through the Impacts, because I don't really think they've shown us a whole lot other than just vignettes of what they've done at the pay-per-views, and they did a little bit more leading into this, so I was really looking forward to that. But I did enjoy, the promo segment, the die Sabu written on Raven's chest, and it's just really good shit. And I just wish we should have watched that match.
This segment felt as Attitude Era as anything has outside of the Attitude Era, because TNA's in the ring. Raven comes out. He's dressed in the original Sheik's gear. He basically tells TNA to fuck off. Takes all the Sheik's gear off, puts it in a trash can that he's brought to the ring with him, and is yelling about he's been a god in wrestling for 16 years and trashing Sabu, calling him a coward, and puts the Sheik's gear in the bin. Then he drags a body bag out from under the ring, pours gasoline on the gear in the bin, opens the body bag, and Sanjay Dutt's in there. It was like beaten up and taped up. I'd completely forgotten that Sabu and Sanjay Dutt were tag team partners at this point.
Yeah, me too. First I'm like, why the fuck is Sanjay Dutt in there? What the hell did he do?
He dumps Sanjay Dutt headfirst in the bin, pours more gasoline over him. He's about to light him on fire. Then the lights go out. Sabu's there, and they have a big fight, which is great. And the thing that made me laugh was at one point Sabu's just stood there, and the referee, who's in the ring for some reason, I think it was like him and security, the ref remembers that he's supposed to be restraining Sabu and just grabs hold and drags him back. And then Sabu hits the chair's set up. He does the whole thing off the chair onto the rope and dives into Raven, who's pretty much in the crowd. It was incredible melodrama. And while I was disappointed we didn't get the match, I was still quite happy with that whole thing.
Yeah, that's a great point. It was very Attitude Era-esque for sure. When he pulled the body bag out, please don't tell me that they're going to tell me that he's got the Sheik's body. Don't tell me.
Yeah, I was thinking,
he dug up the Sheik and he's got his body in there.
I was having flashbacks to the last time I saw Corpse on WWF with the whole Katie Vick.
I'm about to say, you mean Katie Vick?
Yeah. But yeah, I liked it overall. It was decent. It wasn't as great as I was hoping, but it was still a fine couple of hours of wrestling TV.
Yeah, I think if we would have watched the one with the Raven Sabu match on it, we might have enjoyed it just a tad bit more. But it was still quite entertaining. I even went back and watched a couple of matches twice, so that'll tell you something, because I don't go back and watch anything from wrestling nowadays. So if I can go back and watch it twice, then it must have been pretty entertaining. So yeah, overall a good show. I think we talked about all the matches. If not, don't tweet me about it, because I don't have Twitter anyway.
Tweet me and I'll tell you to fuck off. Tweet me and I'll tell you to fuck off, because I know we did hit them all.
Yeah. So send your hate tweets to @DanGriffin21. He'll take care of you. So what we didn't talk about. So we got sort of got a storyline going on with Dusty Rhodes and Vince Russo, because after Jeff Hardy sort of won the match with Monty Brown, Dusty Rhodes comes out there and he declares that Jeff Hardy is going to be the next NWA World Champion. And I guess Vince Russo didn't feel like he should have done that, because Vince Russo then comes out to the ring. They sort of have some words. You don't really hear anything that Russo says. And then Dusty Rhodes just starts screaming, "Oh, I gave that man my word, and that means something. I gave him my word." And so that kind of like, it goes throughout the next 2 episodes of Impact that we watch too.
And I still don't know what the fuck he's on about. Because if Dusty promised Jeff Hardy that he'd be the next champion, that makes Dusty look pretty stupid. And if Dusty had it on good authority from Russo that Hardy would be the next champion, that means it's a conspiracy and they're heels. And then which makes Jeff Jarrett a face, which he most definitely isn't. I don't mind tension between Dusty and Russo. I think that's pretty decent. You know, it's decent.
Yeah.
A decent thing for TV. But make it make sense. And it's a rare miss, because a lot of when Russo is best is making a TV show, he builds a world. You know, you see it in 2000s WCW, where angles feed into each other and then break off, and you see bits and pieces in the background, and it'll, you know, the camera will pan from an interview here and just turn to the right, and there's something going on over there. And this is just a sort of a rare, a bit of a misstep, in that I get that there's tension, but don't drag it out for 2 weeks and 4 shows, and we still don't know why. Apart from Dusty saying he gave his word, which means fuck all, because what about? He just waffles, and it does my head in, because it could be really good, but it isn't.
Yeah, it's very confusing. You're absolutely, everything that you said is right about this whole entire storyline between those two. It's just confusing, and I don't get what's going on. And then we didn't watch the next pay-per-view, but I saw on like the crawl that they'll always have across the bottom to update you that at the next weekly pay-per-view, Russo even made like a championship committee, and it's Terry Funk, Larry Zbyszko, and
Bruno.
No, it's not Bruno. But and I don't know who. I can't remember who the third one is, but I know it's not Dusty Rhodes, and I know that makes Dusty Rhodes a bit upset too. But the whole entire thing is just strange. So, the next episode of Impact, Dan, what was something on that show that you liked, that you didn't like, that you thought was strange, something that could have been done better?
Yeah, so it's the July 30th episode of Impact. I'll just give a quick rundown of the matches.
Yeah.
We have Jeff Jarrett versus Lex Lovett, Kid Cash versus Mike Batts, Team Canada versus Jarrell Clark and Mark Lornoff. That was a bit of a one to get my mouthful around. Jeff Hardy versus Kid Romeo, and Michael Shane and Kazarian versus Triple X. So pretty decent card. The first thing that stood out to me was it was kind of twofold. I love the fact that TNA has effectively jobbers, you know, who'll give a credible match, but it's still a squash match. Like, the opening match, Lex Lovett, he comes out as a big dude, physically imposing. He looks a little bit like a creator wrestler, so you know he's not going to beat Jarrett, but he's also big enough to pop off a couple of moves, look like a threat, but ultimately Jarrett wins. That's great. Mike Batts has enough about him to give Kid Cash a credible challenge. Jarrell Clark and Mark Lornoff give Team Canada a bit. But this is where it kind of works against it. It's great that they've got them, but do we need them all on one show? That was kind of the first thing. So it's kind of a positive and a negative, because the first sort of 2/3 of the show feel very samey.
And I felt, we'll talk about it when we get there, but I felt it was the same thing about the next week's show too. It felt way more jobbery to me than the previous episodes had been. And I get that, because the longer you go on, you can't have balls to the wall TV every week. So, and like you said, it's a negative and a positive. It's like, it's a good thing that you can come out there and get more guys over, but it's also like, I feel like I just saw this in the segment before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it kind of gives with one hand, takes away with another, because we get the big names of, we get Jeff Jarrett and Jeff Hardy on the show. Great. We have the tag team match, which is 4 of the top guys in the company. That's all fine, but it's, in fact, I'm just going to go on my second point before I get your first one, because it all starts to feel the same. And I think there was 5 matches on this show, and 4 of them had a jump start by the heels.
Oh wow! I hadn't realized that, but you're right.
Yeah, and this is not to rag on it, because the matches themselves are actually pretty decent, but the first 3 or 4 matches are all jobber matches, and they all start the same. Okay, yeah. I get it. I'm bored. Bored's the wrong word, but I'm just kind of over it by that point. Give me something new, and at least that made the main event feel fresh, I suppose. But yeah. Anyway, what about you? Anything positive, negative?
I will tell you that I know maybe that's the next one. For the most part, I mean, we kind of hit on. Did you remember the weird video they showed techno music and flashing lights and some guy in a long duster? And I was like, what the fuck is going on there? Any clue to what the fuck's going on with that? Because I have no idea. Is it going to be Gold Dust and some new weird gimmick?
No, initially I thought it was going to be like a Jeff Hardy hype package, but it wasn't.
Same.
It wasn't. I don't know who this is. I think it's too early for Dustin Rhodes' Black Rain. I'd have to double check, but that character really shit the bed. Not quite as bad as Seven in WCW, but it was.
Well, it wasn't great. Quite that bad.
But yeah, short answer, no idea.
So that was something. Man, that Kid Cash bats match at the end when Cash hit him with that fucking finishing maneuver, whatever he does. I legitimately thought that Mickey Batts was dead. I literally Googled Mickey Batts to make sure he didn't get paralyzed that night with Kid Cash. Luckily, he didn't. He's fine. He's doing okay. Apparently, he tried to. After wrestling for Deep South in WWE, he went on to be an MMA fighter, but that only led to 2 fights.
Yeah, it was the double underhook pile driver, wasn't it?
Yeah,
where he kind of picked him up real high and just bang, not like DDP style. Yeah, good.
And I can tell you something that I absolutely hated. And I rag on this every week, but this one was by far the worst one they've done so far, and I don't think it did Monty Brown any favors. The 6 points of Impact with Monty Brown. Oh my God, that was awful.
It made me want to go give a Beretta a blowjob.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I wanted to blow my brains out.
Yeah, it was so bad. I think I wrote it down. I was just... Where is it in my notes? I can't remember when it was. I couldn't even remember. In fact, I still can't remember his name. Jeff Hammond. So he's in my notes. He's in my notes as Jeff. What's his face? I mean, the only good thing that was said in that interview was Monty Brown talking up the Pounce being like a crash in NASCAR. But then he starts talking about the Serengeti and making these really forced, nature metaphors and shit like that, and then starts going on about being at a Super Bowl.
Yeah. So weird.
I think he was asked about what he wanted, what means more to him, the NWA title or a Super Bowl ring. He's like, it reminded me of Ultimate Warrior, and not in a good way.
But yeah, I was literally just going to say, it was like a weird mixture between Marcus Corvon, which is what he's later going to go on to be in ECW, and the Ultimate Warrior. When you start asking about the Serengeti, it's where I hunt, and he points with such force to the ground, and I hate the way he says the pound. The pound, I hate it. I fucking hate it.
But it's right at the end when he asked about the question about the title or the ring. He says, "Well, I want the title over a Super Bowl ring because I've already got a ring, and I want the title, and because I've already got a ring." It's like, so Jeff Hammond should have known that. So it was a dumb fucking question.
Yeah, the whole fucking thing was awful. I guess he's supposed to be heel because he kind of turned heel on the pay-per-view match because he stopped Jeff Hardy from, hitting Jeff Jarrett with
Yeah.
the guitar at the end of the match. And if they were looking to make me hate him, they did a good job because I hate him now. So good on for them.
On the bright side, you did get to see your boys Triple X in action against Michael Shane and Kazarian. And that was a decent little match.
I would say that was probably for me the best match on the show when you're looking at it from bell to bell. And that, yeah.
Do you know the only problem with all that is that every time we get the X Division guys in there, every time we get like a Team Canada versus whoever tag team match, at this point it feels like every week it's going to end in interference, and we're going to have to listen to that fucking bell again. And it happens at the end of this show, and the post-match brawl goes on too long, and it ding, 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 ding. Shut the fuck up.
It reminds me a lot of 2000 WCW because 2000 WCW 99.8% of the time ends with a big brawl at the end. It either starts with a big brawl or ends with a big brawl every single time.
Yeah, me and Rob noticed that when we were going through Unbooking the Tankatorium. We watched a lot of that, a lot of the Nitros and Thunders. So it is a hallmark of that style of TV. And I do kind of get it, and I like that it keeps everybody fresh in the mind of who's feuding with who. And even in this, we see the tag teams and the X Division guys getting to mix it up a little bit. Again, like I talked about before, those sort of two storylines intersecting to end the show. And you know, when a show ends in chaos, that becomes the memorable thing until you do it every week, and then it's the expected thing. But one thing I did want to sort of just mention as a highlight, and it was my third thing, and it was from Jarrell Clark, because I listed him amongst the jobbers before, but that motherfucker hit a 630 splash
in 2004.
Yeah. Where the hell did that come from? I was just looking at it going, I need to know more about Jarrell Clark. Because
I was like, how come I didn't think anything of it until I saw that, and I was like, how come I've never ever heard of this guy, or this guy didn't do fucking anything afterwards? Because that's, I mean, Ricochet doesn't Ricochet do that now?
Yeah, Ricochet does a 630.
And people didn't realize it was invented by fucking this jobber guy fucking in TNA. I don't know if it was invented by him, but he did it way before Ricochet did.
Yeah. Let's see him pop off a double moonsault next, though, because I've seen Ricochet do that too.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
But yeah, that move by Jarrell Clark, and the fact that it wasn't a finishing move was insane. Yeah,
and he did that, and then they lost. Like, they lost the match. They were literally jobbers in the show, and he still fucking did that. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I need to look up Mark Larnoff as well and see if he ever did anything. But I doubt it. But yeah, that was it. It was, when I said before, it was 3 jobber matches in a row with 3 jump starts before we went into the main event.
Yeah, I just felt most of both of these shows, the booking of them felt a bit lazy to me, which we kind of talked about already. The next night, so the first match is AMW versus MVP, or Antonio Banks, as he's known at this time. And I didn't get the other jobber's name. What was his name, Dan?
That's Sal Renara, who was still with the NWA when they came back to renew Power just before the pandemic. I think Sal Renara might still be with them. I'll have to double check.
Who would have thought that the same guy who's on TNA 2004 was on fucking NWA Power in 2019? That's insane. We had Bruce Steele versus Monty Brown, AJ Styles versus Jason something, because I didn't bother to write his last name down.
It was Monty Brown versus Bruce Steele, and next one was Jeff Hardy versus where was it? Oh, Jason Cross. Sorry.
There you go, Jason Cross. That's him. Then you had Gabriel versus Jeff Hardy. And then we had, and then the main event was Frankie. It was Shane, Frankie, Kid Cash, and Petey Williams versus AJ Styles. I'm sorry. It was Triple X, Chris Sabin, and Sanjay Dutt. That was the main event. So, and unfortunately, we had another 6. Actually, you know what, Dan? I never do this, and I'm going to put over the 6 points of Impact this time because I thought what he did this time, where he kind of broke down the rules of the gauntlet match that was going to be coming up at the next pay-per-view. I thought that was better served there with him sort of explaining rules of a match, how a match is broken down, than him actually interviewing someone. So maybe they should stick to that with the 6 points of Impact. I think that would be a better way to go.
Yeah, I'll give it that. I was bored, but then I already know how the gauntlets work. But you know, you've got to produce a show as if it could be somebody's first time.
Right.
So yeah, it was a good use of Jeff Hammond in it, and it made sense. So yeah, we'll score 1 point for Hammond in that regard. We might have forgotten his name briefly, but we're talking about people we want to see more of, you know, like your Jarrell Clarks and whatever. I want to see more of Jason Cross. That dude looked legit. I know he only got a few minutes against AJ. It wasn't even 4 minutes, and I think it was still one of my favorite matches of the last 2 episodes. Yeah, what was it that he did? He did one move that just made me sort of really sit up and go, holy shit. It was the slingshot unprettier. You know, Christian yeah. And he was like he's doing like front flip leg drops, and he tried a shooting star leg drop. I have not, for all the high flying stuff recently, I have not seen that anywhere. Like, who the fuck is Jason Cross, and why is he popping off shooting star leg drops?
Interesting. Yeah, no, he did do some pretty impressive stuff, but I think that match was like 4 minutes long. He is currently 47 years old, so he's still living old. Jason Cross.
Good news.
Professional wrestling career. He started in NWA Wildside in 2002. And then it says he retired in 2013. So.
Oh, man. But that dude's 6'1" and popping off moves like that's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, usually you only get cruiserweights doing stuff like that, but that was, yeah. So, yeah, good shout out to Jason Cross. He's our star of the week. Just kidding, but maybe.
No, he's my star of the week. That's it.
Yeah.
The first thing that went on my list, I thought that was brilliant.
I thought there was Gabriel versus Jeff Hardy, and Gabriel looked like me if I put on wrestling gear and got in a wrestling ring when I was 14.
I tried to look up who this guy was, and the first name that came up on the list was PJ Black, who was Justin Gabriel in WWE. So I had to do like a double take to go, that's not him. And like, no, he's definitely not the South African guy who would be in WWE like 4 years later.
That's like me. I watched an old Ring of Honor show one time, and they had a guy who wrestled there as named Matt Stryker, and I'm like, that's not the same fucking guy. It can't be the same Matt Stryker that was a teacher, right? And so I looked it up, but no, a totally different Matt Stryker, which is so weird that there were 2 Matt Strykers out there.
I think I'm in a minority of people who actually really enjoyed some of Stryker's commentary work, even in his latter days in TNA when he sounded like he was drunk most of the time.
I thought he was good too in WWE. I thought he had some pretty witty quips every now and again. So no, I actually enjoyed him too. I didn't really watch him in TNA, but when he was with WWE, I thought he was pretty decent at it.
Yeah, he was good. He fucked himself over by saying he was marking out when Diesel came out in the 2011 Rumble.
He was certainly better than like Jonathan Coachman or fucking Booker T. Sorry, Booker T, but it's fact. He's better than Booker T.
Yeah, any commentator is a better commentator than Booker T. He just does nothing for me, I'm afraid.
I love Booker T as a wrestler, and one of my favorite tag teams ever is Harlem Heat. But as a commentator, no thank you.
Yeah. What was your first thing then, mate?
I really liked the whole entire thing with Jeff Hardy. He comes out to the ring. Not Jeff Hardy, Jeff Jarrett. There's too many Jeffs. He calls Jeff Hardy out. He says, we don't have to wait till the pay-per-view because at that Wednesday's pay-per-view, they're not going to have a match. They're just going to announce when they're going to have the match. So be on the lookout for that. And then, they came out. They start brawling. Jeff Hardy gets the better of him. And then, of course, the Elite Guard comes down. And then it turns into a bit of a fucking schmozz. But I just thought the whole thing was good, and it was a good way to get people interested into watching the pay-per-view, which they always do a really good job of that. But that was a good moment for me. And then I like the main event. But other than that, for me, the show didn't really have a whole lot. It was a bit lackluster, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was. I mean, for all my sort of this was another jobber fest, but I feel like it was a bit of a higher class of jobber. You know, Sal Renaro's made a living in wrestling for over 20 years now, and Antonio Banks, MVP's gone on to do what he's gone on to do. Huge star in the business. Bruce Steele was big enough to have a physical presence to go against Monty Brown, give him something else to get his teeth into. Even though it was, less than 2 minutes, he still looked the part. Jason Cross was awesome, as I mentioned. Gabriel didn't need to do much against Jeff Hardy. He was just there for Jeff to roll through. So for all my complaints about the jobbers, this week felt a bit better. That it made these guys look an even bigger deal than they already are. The big names are coming in, dispatching these guys who look like credible threats very quickly, especially in Jason Cross's case. So it did its job, and then the main event really did its job, hyping me for the gauntlet match. I actually want to watch the gauntlet match, even if we don't do the whole pay-per-view. I would like to watch that gauntlet match if you're up for it too, just to see how it is.
100%. Because I like their gauntlet matches anyway. I like the rules of it and the preface of it. And I love to watch the X Division wrestlers. So a 20-man X Division gauntlet match, sign me up for that all day.
With surprise entrance as well. So
so that's going to be even better. So who knows who's going to show up?
You had half the field, or almost half the field in this match. Kazarian, Michael Shea, Kid Cash. I nearly said Doug Williams. We're a long way off Doug Williams being in the X Division. Petey Williams, Christopher Daniels, Elix Skipper, Sonjay Dutt, Chris Sabin. I mean, that's a who's who there of X Division goodness. And you're going to add another, probably AJ Styles is going to be in there, a couple of others, and maybe some surprise names. That's going to be sick. And it might have not have been the best show, but it was decent and it did its job. I'm hyped for the X Division Gauntlet. And it was pretty well paced as well. At no point did I wasn't looking at my phone or how long was left. It went along at a good clip. So I'd give it, if you're going to sort of rate it out of 10, it's a solid 6.5, 7 out of 10. Where it's like it's not brilliant, but it's good enough, and it's a good 45 minutes of TV.
Yeah, they definitely did a good job of building towards the Wednesday's pay-per-view, which they usually do. I also, just another thing of note here is it's funny that 3 Live Crew makes the save on every beatdown. It's like they're just waiting around in the back for a brawl to break out so they can run out there and save somebody. They're like, well, the Team Canada's beating up AMW. We got to get out there. Jeff Hardy's the Elite Guard's beating up on Jeff Hardy. We got to get out there. They're just there to help everybody out.
And Ron Killings is going to get into a thing with Monty Brown as well.
Oh yeah, they are building toward that because they've had a little back and forth between each other. In fact, that was promo segments.
Yeah, that was at the pay-per-view, wasn't it, as well? So it was kind of, they did that interview beforehand and then Killings is calling out Monty Brown. And it was kind of a telegraph that Brown was going to lose.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I kind of already went into it figuring that Brown was going to lose by, some sort of
shenanigans.
Weird, shenanigans. Because obviously, like you said, he's their big and new and upcoming star. I just feel like it was too soon to have him face off against Jeff Jarrett because you really didn't know where you were going to be with him. Is he going to be a babyface? Is he going to be a heel? I think they've gone that's best just make him a heel for now, which they should because his promo skills need to get much better, and you might get better at them being a heel than you ever will be being a babyface. So I think that's smart. So then, but you're right. It did kind of give off you figure he's not going to win this because he'll be feuding with Ron Killings, which I think that's also a good thing for him too because. At this point, compared to him, Ron Killings is a veteran. So,
yeah, he's a top pro, isn't he? At this point, he's a former NWA champion. He's a big name for Monty Brown to roll through. Get a decent match out of him. Get some more minutes in the ring in front. On a pay per view, it'll be a big seller. Maybe even make it a number 1 contender match again. There's a lot they can do with that, and I think it's pretty smart booking to put him in there. So. Yeah, as we get into August, I'm kind of happy what they're doing with the X Division. I'm glad the co-champions thing didn't last too long because I was afraid we were going to get Kazarian and Shane being like Lako,
They're going to split the belt in half like friendship bracelets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Although if those two guys did it, it would probably be incredibly entertaining. So
the sad thing about WWE's like women's division back then was so bad that Lay Cool, if you went back, it would probably be some of the best stuff that was on, the women's division in that era.
It was up until they started doing the fat shaming stuff with Mickey James and shit like that.
Yeah, that was terrible. And just to fat shame Mickey James when she's smoking hot, you're like, okay, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, exactly. It was stupid, but in fact, that's the only thing that TNA is missing at this point is there's no women's division.
Which is going to be a staple of theirs going forward.
Oh yeah, when the Knockouts division kicks in, it kicks in big style. We're going to be in for a treat there when Gail Kim gets across an Awesome Kong and Taylor Wilde and I'm forgetting names, but it's going to be awesome.
I'm looking forward to that because it's ironic because right now I watch WWE 2009 like Raw and SmackDown just because I started watching 2008 and then I just kept going. So and Gail Kim just re-debuted for WWE. I think she stays there for a couple years and then iconically eliminates herself from the Royal Battle Royal and walks out of the company for fucking ever. I have so much respect for Gail Kim because she left WWE, talked so much shit about them, and then never went back. Because you get all these people who go out there and then they trash them. I'll never work there again. The second they fucking offer you a contract, you're back. Not Gail Kim. So that's why I have so much respect for her.
Yeah, Gail Kim doesn't
really looking forward to. Yeah.
She doesn't give a shit, and I love it. And she was fantastic in both the runs in TNA. I mean, what a lesser known and lesser appreciated feud she had. I can't remember what year it was. It might have been around about 2016, or maybe a shade earlier. Gail Kim and Taryn Terrell put on a series of absolute classics. They had a ladder match. They had a ladder match that was so brutal, and just beat the living shit out of each other. And I'll be honest, I saw it come. I knew Gail had it in it. I didn't know Taryn had it in her.
So Taryn Terrell, that was Tiffany in WWE for a little while, right?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't even. Yeah, no. If you would have told me she had a ladder match with Gail Kim, I would have called you crazy. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to when we get to that era. That'll be fun. That'll be good stuff.
It's going to be interesting to see how some of the stuff the beautiful people got up to as aged. Because
I remember that.
Yeah, there may well be some questionable shit, but it'll be fun either way.
I mean, I'm as we've mentioned before, I love shit wrestling just as good as bad wrestling, so I'm on board for all of it. I got a proposal for you, Dan. You talked about watching the next pay-per-view, potentially watching all of it. I think for the next episode, instead of watching episodes of Impact, I think we should watch the next 2 weekly pay-per-views. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's see how we go. Yeah, then we'll get the gauntlet for the gold in, and we can see how the pay-per-views compare to the Impact. Yeah, I'm up for that.
I like that idea. We've only reviewed one of the pay-per-views, so now let's review a couple. So that's what we'll do in episode 5, I believe it will be. Yes, in episode 5 next month when we record, we'll have a look at pay-per-view 106 and pay-per-view 107 and pay-per-view 108. Hopefully, we'll get some more Raven Sabu shit on there because that's what I'm looking for.
I'm as soon as we finish it, I'm going to go watch Raven versus Sabu.
I'm probably going to do the same thing after I go pick my son up from school. Then I'm going to do the exact same thing. Dan, before we get out of here, why don't you tell people where else they can hear your voice?
Oh, go on then. Online on Twitter or Instagram, Brent said it before, at DanGriffin21. Come along, talk about football, talk about wrestling. I'll talk about anything with anybody with a degree of confidence if I don't have the knowledge, and the knowledge if I do have the knowledge. If you want to hear more of me talking about stuff, Unbooking the Territory, as I mentioned before, and all the side projects at UTT Podcast, available, the back catalogues there, available on all good podcast platforms and some shit ones. So go check that out. And the Doctor Who pod, myself and my mate Si, talking about the mad alien in the blue box, all the classic stuff, all the new stuff. We're going to get through it all eventually. We just talk shit about sci-fi, and it's great fun. So come along, check us out there. At some point in this new football season, that's proper football, not American football, myself and Matt Lewis will be back with the volley. I just don't know when, because the end of August and September is mad busy for me. So, but we'll figure it out, and we'll be back bringing alternative commentary soon, and basically making it all about whatever we're going to eat at halftime. Yeah,
It's
that's it.
great
That's what
fun
I'm
if
involved in.
you're into the Premier League and you hear that I always get happy because I never actually know. I'm getting ready for a kickoff of a game and I get a notification on YouTube. The volley is live in 10 minutes. I'm like, fuck yeah! I get to hang out with my friends and watch football. That's awesome. And if you ever listen to this podcast and we say football, we're talking about fucking soccer because it should be called football because in actual American football, you only use your feet rarely. So it should be called not so football or some shit like that. But it shouldn't be
Hand
called
egg.
Hand egg's a good one. I think they should go with that. As for myself, you can hear me on the regular show every week with the mayor. We're, of course, digging deep into some WCW 2000 right now. And that's really it. You can follow me on Instagram. We're at AWIPod. We're on TikTok at AWIPod. I'm on Threads at AWIPod. I usually just talk shit about whatever old school wrestling I'm watching that day. So check it out. And that's it. I got nothing else left to say. The only thing left is for Dan to say goodbye.
Auf Wiedersehen.